Hey Goops, it's Goblin. Today we have someone who wrote one of my favorite comfort reads, has the cutest, spookiest story coming out in October, and you'll probably catch her talking about aliens. This is Mallory Marlowe.
Hey, it's Goblin. Are you ready to yap?
Hi, I'm so glad you're
I'm
here.
so happy to be here. Thank you for bringing me on. I'm happy that we were able to find a time and make it work.
I know it's been some email tag.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this season of life I feel is just
Oh
insane.
my God, yeah, yeah. And like I feel like you enter the new year being like, "Oh yeah, okay, holidays are over. I'm gonna chill." And then it never is. It's never chill.
Oh my gosh, January was like the most insane month of
Yeah.
my life, maybe.
Yeah.
It was insane. So you just got back from Love Y'all Fest?
Love Con, yeah.
Oh,
I
Love
they were
LitCon.
they were happening at the same time, like
Oh
same
my
weekend.
gosh. And
So
both have love in the name.
I know. So like there's, the West Coast contingent of romance conventions and then the East Coast
Oh
contingent. So
my
yeah, I was
gosh.
at Love Con in San Diego and it was fantastic. It was their first year putting it on. And it was such a great event. So I hope they do it again and again because I'll be there.
Oh my gosh, that's so awesome. It's always good to hear the positives from cons.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I think like there's so much that goes into putting on events, especially of that size, that like when things go
Absolutely.
really smoothly and you feel really heard and seen as an author, and especially if you're, an attendee, that's just like you've done a fantastic job and they clearly know what they're doing. So that was
Oh, that
good.
makes me so happy.
Yeah.
I'm glad.
Yeah.
So I'd love to start with just kind of asking you blanket statement, like how did you get into writing? Like where did writing begin for you?
Yeah, so I was always a writer. Like even as a kid, I was like taking all of my English class assignments way too seriously and was like super, super creative. Like it was really never me just playing with my Barbies and dressing them up and taking them to a party. It was like they had like elaborate plots. And so once I kind of got old enough to like know how to write and tell a story, I was just like, okay, I got to start writing this stuff down because it's all up here and I've got to do something with it. So I started writing books like when I was in eighth grade. They were
Yeah.
not good. They should never see the light of day ever again. But like I was just churning them out, like and putting them on like Wattpad and stuff back when I was like 14. And so it was always something I knew I wanted to do, but I kind of didn't know how to like enter a career in that. And so I went to school for screenwriting, which is a little bit different. And I currently work in video game writing, which is also very different from writing books. Um, but I always had the passion. And then it was during COVID, I got back into reading because I like didn't have to commute multiple hours a day in LA traffic. And I was like, oh my God, there's this whole like adult contemporary space for people who are my age. And I didn't know that that existed until I really had the chance to like dive in and start reading again. And I was like, I can do this. I can write a book that, feels like it was made for me. And so I started experimenting and wrote a couple of things that were in the adult romance space. And then I didn't really do anything with them because I was sort of like, I'm not good enough to get an agent and get published. Like, there's no way. And then when I wrote Love and Other Conspiracies, I was like, I don't know, this feels like the one. This feels like the one to kind of try and finally make something happen with this. And that gut feeling was right, because it was the one, and it has, it's gone on to, end up in so many readers' hands and, change my life in a really fantastic way.
That is so cool. I am such a big fan of Love and Other Conspiracy.
Thank you.
I actually I don't reread books.
Yeah,
I don't have the capacity. I have ADHD and also
same.
just a lot of reasons like
Yeah,
I don't. And then also I don't do audiobooks like typically
yeah.
ever. But for whatever reason, I was cleaning out the garage and I was like, I need an audiobook. And I
Yeah.
picked Love and Other Conspiracies. I've listened to it twice. So the girl that like doesn't do audiobooks and doesn't read books
Yeah,
has listened
has
to
done
it
it twice.
twice.
I mean, I gotta give that credit to the audiobook team at Penguin and to Alex Fink who did the narration for
Oh
that
my
book
gosh, she
because
was
oh
amazing.
my gosh. It like that's the thing. I think like I struggle with audiobooks as well because like I'll zone out and then I just I've missed a whole chapter and that's not
Yes.
good. But like I think if you have a really good narrator, it you're like, okay, actually I'm in this. I'm in this and I'm enjoying it. And she's
Yeah.
so much fun. And I geeked out so hard when I heard like the little sound effect noises
Yes.
for the out there episodes. I was like, oh my God, this is so cool.
Oh
Um,
my gosh, yes. That was so cool.
yeah.
And also just her guy voice.
Yeah. I know
Hello?
that's so tough to do. Like, I mean, I'm not an actor by any means, but like doing like a believable guy voice is hard and sometimes there some land better than others and I
Yeah,
like hers a lot.
I loved it.
Yeah, yeah. And I will say if you did like that one, you should definitely give a listen to the Love at First Sighting audiobook because it's really fun. We also have Carter's POV, and I think the narrator that we got for him is just so fantastic and spot on with his character.
Ah, that's so amazing. I love that. I love what I've heard a lot of horror stories when it comes to like picking audio
Yeah,
narrators,
it's
just because,
hard.
yeah, like, hey, can you just sound the way that it's supposed to sound in my head? Like,
I know. And half the time I'm like, I don't even know like what that's supposed to sound like. But I'm like, can you do that?
yeah,
I'm
I
like, I
don't,
can't help you get there, but can you do that?
can you just
Um,
take it out and like make it happen? Thank you.
yeah, yeah.
I,
And
I
like,
don't envy.
yeah, and my background, like prior to working in video games, was I worked in voiceover as like
Okay.
on the agency side. So
Yeah.
like I worked with a lot of voice actors and listened to thousands and thousands of auditions for all things like commercials, animation, video games, the guy who says, and tonight on Jeopardy, all of the things. So like I feel like I'm a little picky when it comes to picking narrators because I am really thinking about like what does this character actually sound like? Can I imagine them doing this scene? Like if the sample they sent is something heavier, can I imagine them doing something lighter? So I take it very seriously, but it's like always one of the most fun parts of the process is being like, oh yes, they're gonna be this character. We've nailed it.
That's so cool. So with your like background in TV and film, first I've worked on short films for probably like the
Yeah.
last like 5 to 7 years, but I'm in DFW. So the
Yeah.
scene here is a lot different than like LA scene, obviously.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love the TV film scene so
Yeah.
much. Has that impacted your writing at all, the way that you go about writing stories?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it makes me in my head, I'm really visual. So like I'm imagining everything happening in the scene and like even to the point where sometimes I'm imagining like, oh, here's what this shot would look like. This, how do we enter into this scene in the way that you would in a movie? Um, and so I think that it helps. It was a little bit of a challenge because like in screenwriting, like it's so sparse, like you can't describe even, what this even the little like minutia of like he picks this up, he puts it down, or he like you kind of have to let the actors go in a case like that, which is great because actors are so smart and they know exactly what to do. It's like magic. But then like when you go to like move from writing a screenplay to writing a book, you're like, oh, I have to fill in all the blanks. You're like, I have to know what's going on in their heads. I have to describe the room. Like, we don't have a production designer to do that for us. So that was a little bit of an adjustment when I got back into writing books versus screenplays.
Wow. That's so cool. Like the idea of like thinking about like a camera shot, you know?
Yeah,
I definitely like feel I'm a very visual reader, and so
yeah,
like I see the whole scene. And I think like for yours, I always was like, oh no, I know exactly where everything is. Like I
yeah,
know where I am in the room. Like
yeah,
it's very, very cool that like you think of it in camera frame. That's
yeah. So
that's so
sometimes, and sometimes it's almost a hindrance because you're like, you can't do that. You're in one person's head. You cannot have like the voice of God or like, you can't like this person's
The
head is
voice of
not
God.
panning and coming this that doesn't work. That's not how bodies work.
It's not a dolly shot. Come
No,
on.
this is a person, not a dolly. Let's move on. You don't need to sit here and agonize over this. Like,
Oh my gosh, that is so funny. Okay,
yeah.
so with video game writing,
Yeah.
are you so you're writing like the background stories of
Mhm.
or the what are they called? The
Like
intro.
the narratives and
Yeah.
like so it kind of depends on the game because some are more linear and then others are more like branching dialogue, like something like a
Yeah.
Mass Effect or a Dragon Age if you're like familiar with
Yeah.
those games. So yeah, it involves everything for like the premise, the setting, the arcs and the characters, and even down to like the barks that are happening during combat. Like, oh God, I've been hit. Help me. Give me, so
Wow.
all kinds of stuff. Environmental storytelling, like if you pick up a letter on a crate, what does that say and what does it tell you about the
Wow.
world? So it's really all encompassing.
Yeah.
And it's just different from books because you're also working with so many different disciplines. Like you have to work with art and you have to work with animation and sometimes you'll write a scene and they're like, "Do you have any idea how much this is going to cost?" And you're like,
Yeah.
"I'll go back to the drawing board." Yeah. Sorry.
My bad.
Yeah, sorry. But it's very different. It's very technical, so it kind of stretches a different part of my brain. And it's something that like I'm really looking forward to integrating more into my books in a way. I can't say a whole lot about that, but
Okay.
I will the video game and the writing will overlap in the future.
That sounds really
Yeah.
cool.
Yes.
I will not ask any follow-up questions.
Yeah. Hopefully I can talk about it soon, but not announced yet.
Got it. That's so
Yeah.
cool. Okay, just because again, I'm such a big fan of Love and Other
Yeah.
Conspiracies. Do you have a favorite cryptid?
I love Mothman. He's just so lovable, and I love like the memification of Mothman in a way. I mean, like literally, my coffee cup has Mothman on
Oh
it
my
right
gosh,
now.
I love it.
But I just think he's such a fun one because people kind of go really ham with
Yeah.
Mothman. But I also I kind of waver on like whether or not I think aliens are cryptids because like I
Ooh,
kind of feel like they're like outside of the cryptid realm, but like I love alien stuff. I mean I'm an Aquarius like
me
to
too.
the T. Like
Yeah.
so it totally, it's totally up my alley to just be really, really into alien stuff.
Yeah. I have 5 houses in Aquarius, so I
Oh
I
my
get it.
gosh.
It's a funny thing. Like every time I meet somebody in person that like knows a lot about
Yeah.
astrology, within like the first 3 to 5 minutes, like they stop what I'm saying and say, Are you an
Are you an
Aquarius?"
Aquarius?
And I'm
Yes.
like, "Yes, I
Yes.
am.
You're very, very Aquarius.
Like
You
like
got me
so
beat.
much." It's it's kind of a lot, I'm sure. My
Yeah.
husband has a fun time with me.
Right. He's like, why are you going off about aliens and conspiracy theories again? Yeah,
Yeah.
my roommate is like, you're the most Aquarius. And I'm like, I know. It's
I
fine.
know,
I'm
but it's
proud of
okay.
it.
Yeah, me too. I've never met an Aquarius who didn't like our sign.
Yeah, exactly. Like you vibe really well with them.
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm like I don't have that much Aquarius in my chart, but I'm like a Sag rising and then a Scorpio moon, so I'm just like a little bit salty and mean internally.
Hell
Like it's
yeah.
okay if I'm being mean, it's just the Scorpio in me.
Valid. Listen,
Yeah.
valid.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have, oh, I also wanted to bring up because we were
Yeah.
talking about cryptids. So one
Yeah.
of my author friends
Mhm.
love her to death. she has these books, but
Mhm.
she does contemporary meets cryptid. So
Oh,
it's like
fun.
so much fun. It's
Yeah.
as if like so instead of your characters going to go find cryptids,
Yeah.
they were falling in love with cryptids.
Nice. I
Um,
think Hayden would be down for that.
yes, absolutely. But it's Below the Shadow of the City by Raen
Okay.
Tetra, and then Leap into Faith, and this one's a Mothman, or not a Mothman, sorry, a Frogman.
Frogman. Yes. Oh
Yes.
my gosh. I love that. I'm gonna have to
Yeah,
check those out. That's so
yeah.
fun.
They're so fun. And then recently I just did this like anthology where I
Mhm.
gathered five indie authors and we did like quick little stories. I produced and dev edited them. But she was in it and she
That's
asked me,
so
she was like,
fun.
"Okay, what cryptid do you want me to do?" And I was like,
Ooh.
"Mothman."
Yeah,
Immediately.
of course.
So I
He's
just
just
had to
sexy.
yes, yes. So I just had to tell you because I
That's so
immediately picked
fun.
Mothman and I was like, this is who I need
No
from you.
hesitation. Yeah.
No, no, I was like, I mean, Mothman, is that
Yeah.
okay? She was like, sold.
Done. Great.
Yeah. But it's really cool because it's just such a fun niche because her stories really are very contemporary,
Yeah.
but they just happen to have like cryptids in the middle of
Yeah.
everything.
It's like a slight like sheen on top of our world versus
Yeah.
like we're in this totally crazy second world fantasy where you have to do all this world building. It's like, no, everything's pretty normal, but there's cryptids.
Everything's the same, but also there's a guy that
Yeah,
is
that has is absolutely ripped and he has wings and glowing red eyes and a tight ass, good stuff.
yes, exactly. Exactly. And he just happens to be the town mechanic.
That, you know what? I feel like I would trust Mothman with my car.
Oh,
Like I really
absolutely.
would.
Yeah. I feel like it's the perfect job for him. Let's
Yeah.
let's be very honest.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check these books out. These seem very up my alley.
You need to. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Below the Shadow of the City is the first one, and
Okay.
then Leap into Faith is they're interconnected standalones. And
Cool.
then the anthology is completely separate. But yes,
Yeah,
they're
I will keep my eye out for that. That sounds
yeah.
very, very, very me.
Yeah. It's such a good time. Okay, so you have a new book coming out,
Yeah.
Entities to Lovers.
Yes.
How was that different as far as like process wise when it comes from like your first two to that one?
So, I mean, the process for this one was different in a lot of ways. So, with Love and Other Conspiracies, I'd written the whole book and it had gone through like really extensive edits. Like I did a mentorship program before I signed with my agent, and then I did edits with my agent, and then I did edits with my editor. So, by the time like by the time we sold it, it was pretty cohesive and in one piece.
Yeah.
And then Love at First Sighting was my like write the wait while I was on sub book because I was like, nobody is going to want to buy a book about like a hot girl and a man in black falling in love. That's just bonkers. So it was like a good distraction of like just do something for you. When being on sub with editors and stuff is very stressful because you're like, oh my God, is this book gonna crash and burn? Is what's gonna happen? So it's really nice to have a project that distracts you as you are very stressed. So by the time we got to like working on Love at First Sighting, that was also done. And so I got to send my editor like a really detailed outline of everything that happens. And she read through that and was like, okay, so you have some overlapping scenes here. And, how would you feel about altering this, element of the story? So I didn't really have to go through like as crazy dev edits on that one as I did with Entities to Lovers, which we sold on proposal. So we had turned in like a blurb, like the jacket copy, a synopsis of the full book, and then the first three chapters. And so the whole thing was not written yet. And so I had to like write that on a deadline. And there was a lot of behind the scenes stuff that was not really favorable conditions for writing a book. A lot of changes had to be made in the process. So, like, it took actually a really long time for the book to take shape. Like, it didn't really come together in the form that's closest to what it is until like literally August, like a couple
Mm,
months ago.
wow.
And so it was a really challenging process working on that book. But I think that it taught me a lot about editing and revising, and also like proved to me that I can do it even when things are really challenging. Like I took a book that I was very convinced I would never be proud of because it was such a pain in my ass, to something that I'm so proud of and really, really excited about. And that was like the pie in the sky dream as I was dealing with all of the chaos happening behind the scenes and in my own creative process was like, you're going to be proud of this one day, but I wasn't totally sure, but I am. So we got there. But it was a very different process from the first two. And I think that it has taught me also, like, I want to get ahead of having to write on deadlines as much as possible because it is really stressful. Um, and I'm a
Yeah.
quick drafter, so it's like just get moving on stuff. If you feel good about a book, just start writing it because then you won't have to like panic later.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, I feel like deadlines are are the constant. I
Yeah.
have so many indie friends and they're just like, yeah, but I have to get it done by this day. And, and I'm like, girl,
Yeah. Yeah.
as somebody who like hates authority,
Right. You're like, I don't want to do that.
no.
Yeah.
Like I work for myself for a reason. Like I
Yeah.
do not like being told what to do. I could not imagine, especially like in a creative aspect of like,
Yeah.
no, you have to like put your soul into something and you
Mhm.
need it done by the 12th. And
Yeah.
also, it needs to be perfect. Thank you. I'll edit it.
Yeah.
And then I'll edit it and tell you everything that's wrong with it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think that the deadlines for me as somebody with ADHD actually help a lot
Yeah,
because
yeah, yeah.
otherwise, like, I'll be like, oh, well, I can go play video games or I can read or I can reorganize my closet for some
Yeah.
reason. Like, so it really helps to be like, okay, here's how many days you have to get this done. This is what you have to do every day, and you get a sticker if you do a good job
Yeah.
and actually accomplish it. Like, you do have to kind of motivate me like I'm five.
Oh,
But it's
absolutely.
super effective. Like it really is because otherwise I will just go do God knows what.
Yes. Nothing hurts me specifically more than somebody saying, "Oh, no rush." Don't ever
Yeah,
say
no,
those
I'm
words
like,
to me.
no, please tell me exactly what you expect of me because I
Literally.
need to be told what I have to do.
Yes. If you say no rush to me, it's
Yeah.
over with. It's
Or
over
like
with. Like I have no idea when it'll be done.
my other like big I can't work with this is like just trust your gut. I'm like I can't trust my I'm like I have really bad anxiety. I can't trust anything in my entire life. Like I need to be given guidelines. Help me out.
I don't even like, this is so ridiculous. I don't like taking like questionnaires or like personality tests or whatever because I think I'm lying every
Yes.
time. So,
Yes.
like, no, I can't trust my gut. She lies to me.
I
Like,
know. And it's like, then you especially get like the ones where it's like sometimes, often, rarely. And I'm just like,
yes.
well, I don't know what actually counts. You need to give me numbers. It's a whole
Yeah.
neurodivergent rabbit hole
Yes.
that like we all just fall down. It's a mess.
I always ask my husband, I'm like, okay, but do you think I do this? And he's like, this is for you. And I'm
I
like,
know. It's like,
yeah,
do
but I'm
you?
lying. I know I'm lying.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, but I can't trust that. What if, what if
No.
What if I answer wrong and it just gives me the wrong result and I think I passed and I didn't?
Yes.
It's so fun. It's so fun
You
having
get it.
a weird brain.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so I did want to ask you,
Mhm.
so you obviously started with querying. Was
Yeah.
there ever a decision for you to go indie versus querying, or was trad like the way you wanted to go?
I think trad was always the way that I wanted to go. I wasn't exactly like when I first queried, I didn't really know the market or like I didn't know anything really. I mean,
Yeah.
I had like an okay idea and I do a lot of research before I, dive into something like writing a book or querying or, like what can I expect? But I think that in my head, I didn't really like know what indie entailed. And so for me, I just followed the querying and trad pipeline. And it's, that I think I think trad works for me because I'm not great at marketing. I have immense admiration for indie authors because they are hustling, they are doing all of it themselves, and they are literally the forefront of the industry. Like they are in charge
Yeah.
of how the whole book market is like evolving.
Yeah.
So I've got immense respect for them, but I'm a never say never person, but I kind of knew like just knowing my style and like I wanted to work with a team. I wanted to, release a book into Barnes and Noble from the get-go. That was a big thing for me. But I mean, I think that one of the interesting things about the way that the industry is evolving now is that a lot of people are going more hybrid. And so, books that maybe don't fit at a traditional publisher or that are a little bit more out of the box are finding their legs in indie. And that's really empowering, I think, for, especially marginalized authors who trad will, continuously shut out and, you know, pushed to the side. I think it's really great that indie has embraced those people. And you never know. I mean, it's a hard market out there, and I have a lot of respect for them.
Awesome. So with querying, obviously you
Mhm.
have to find like agents and
Yeah.
all of the things. And I saw a post that you made about how you had to kind of like transition your agenting. How did that work for you?
So it's interesting because I think a lot of what a lot of people don't talk about is that most people actually do change agents at some point in their careers. Like once you get a couple of years into your career, a, a lot of people are not with their original agents. And it's totally normal. But I think that there is a little bit of shame that comes with like, oh God, I need to leave an agent or I need to move on and find somebody new. But I think a lot of it is like what you need at the time and what you know, who's the best advocate for you at certain points in your career. And so I know people who have changed agents because they were like, "Oh yeah, I wanted to do this genre and my agent really doesn't rep it. They don't know that side of the biz very well." So I went and found somebody who did. Um and so for me, it was a case of that where I was like, okay, I need something a little bit different. And I think that, as things got busier, I wanted somebody who was a little bit more hands-on with me and who was going to help me craft ideas and, strategize my career a little bit better. It was a hard decision. And it was definitely not an easy time as, an author, as you're also working on a book, promoting a book, and now finding a new agent. It was a really, really busy couple of months there. But I think that the thing that I always keep in mind is as an author, your agent is your advocate, and you deserve somebody who is fighting for your books as hard as you are because no one is going to care about your book more than you. Like, that's just how it is.
Hmm.
And so I think having somebody who is willing to go to bat for you, who's sometimes willing to be the bad guy for you, is exactly what you need. And so I always tell people like, if you don't feel like your agent is doing that, it is okay to go find somebody else. You're not betraying them by leaving. You're choosing yourself.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard. It really is. But I feel really good about the choice I made. I love my new agent. We have, really fun stuff cooking, and I feel very supported. So it was a hard decision, but it was definitely one of the best ones that I could have made for myself, especially at that time.
That's really cool. Yeah, I think there is a lot of just like, I mean, shame, of course, but also just like so many unknowns. And
Yeah.
I think like for a lot of indies, it's they obviously the transition from going like completely querying from
Yeah.
sorry instead
Yeah.
of indie, but I talk to mostly indie friends, but
Yeah.
they'll go with an agent and then it's just like, oh, well, they were the first person that reached out to me.
Yeah.
And it's like, that's hard because you don't know. You have no
Yeah.
idea. And even if you are querying, you have no idea. Like there isn't a rule book
Yeah.
to follow.
No, and so much is like kept behind whisper networks and,
Yeah.
hearing from other authors. Like, somebody might look good on paper and then you hear, "Oh, this person had a really bad experience with them." And so you just never know. And also I think like not every person who leaves an agent left for some horrifying reason. It
Yeah, of
sometimes it
course.
is really just like it just wasn't working out, or I felt like I was going in a different direction and we were not a compatible business partnership anymore. So you do get messy stories, but then you also get, people who are just like, this just wasn't the pairing anymore, and that's okay. And we've parted ways, and I've moved on, and they've moved on, and we're all good.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, you don't know. And sometimes you also don't know what you need until you have something happen and you're like, oh, I didn't have someone doing this for me, or I didn't realize I wanted someone who was going to go and do this with my publisher. So I think that so much of publishing is like living and learning.
Yeah,
And that's hard to
of
do.
course. Of course.
Because like no one wants to be, no everyone wants to go in feeling like they've made the best choices for themselves, but like when something goes catastrophically wrong, you're like, "Oh my God, I wish I just didn't have to learn the hard way." But
Yes. Yep.
unfortunately, that is kind of how a lot of things in life are. I wish that were
Yeah.
not the case.
I also think just this like the hype around this genre of romance and everything is so new.
Yeah.
And even if there was a rule book to follow, like it wouldn't be accurate within 2 months because of
Yeah.
how much everything is changing.
Yeah.
And so I think that's another hard thing because it's like, yeah, you could, and also somebody could be doing a certain thing as an agent 1 year and doing a completely different thing the next year. So
Yeah.
it's just like it's really hard to keep up, I'm sure.
Totally. Yeah. And I mean, I think like especially for agents, I can't imagine how much their their landscape has changed and even in the past couple of years because like when I first started querying Love and Other Conspiracies, which was in 2022, like indie had not blown up fully in the way that it has
Yeah.
at this point, and like it was always big and it was always a huge market, but it hadn't made that jump to major trad deals yet.
Yeah.
And so, like, agents who a couple years ago were like, don't send me something that's already been published. I don't want to work with that. Now, like, there are agents who are exclusively like picking up indies. And
Yeah.
so, their entire industry landscape has probably morphed like crazy in the past couple of years.
Completely. Yeah, it's always so fascinating for me to kind of just like see so many different aspects of it because obviously
Yeah.
like you went full query. I have a few friends who are like completely queried,
Yeah.
trench, all of that whole trenches and then
Yeah.
completely indie and then
Yeah.
hybrid and it just like it's so different and you see of course like newer authors coming up and they're like I just don't know like I want to do that and I'm like
Yeah.
it's different. Like
It is.
what worked 3 months ago is not going to guaranteed to work this month. So
No.
just
No, you got to be ready to innovate and pivot and
pivot for sure.
you're always on your toes in publishing.
Yes,
No matter
completely.
what avenue you take, you are always on your toes.
Yes. Okay, so with entities to lovers,
Yeah.
you have a Grace Ace. No. Oh my God, I
Great
always
ace, yeah.
every time I say
I
that, I have like practiced
know.
saying it and I have messed it up every single time.
Yeah.
My mouth does not work. A great ace FMC.
Yeah.
Why was that an important story for you to share?
So that is how I identify as well. And so I find that, and Hallie is also Gray Ace. That came out totally accidentally. And I think more often than not, it actually just happens by accident. The more that I write in their head, I'm like, oh, this is my experience that they also share. And so for Rory, I think that she's somebody who she knows she's kind of an odd duck. She can see ghosts and she can talk to spirits and she lives, in an oddity shop with her mom. So like she is fully aware that she's not totally she's not fully palatable. Um, but I think that for a while for her, she was like, okay, well, that's why. That's why I'm not forming connections with people, or that's why relationships aren't panning out the way that I intended. And I think that there's a part in the book where she talks about how like she learned like, oh, I when I heard this word, something clicked in my head. And she was like, that's it. Like I'm not attracted to that many people, but when I am, it's like a lot. Like it's a lot to take. And so she has that issue with Ezra, our MMC, who she's like, I hate this guy. I think he's so obnoxious, but yet I find him so hot and it bothers me. But it was important to tell that story because I think that there's so many misconceptions about asexuality as a whole. I think people think of it in very certain ways, but it's a spectrum. And so a lot of my characters are like, me, where I don't experience sexual attraction very often, but when I do, you're like, oh yeah, that's it. Like that's what everyone talks about, and everybody, is, that's what everyone else is experiencing. But having a word for it and having a lens to look at your relationships through is really important. And that was something that was part of my journey. And so I really like infusing that into my characters and, also showing like, there are characters that, do, have sex and are attracted to their partners. Um, but it's just different. But again, it's a spectrum, and so there are, there are people who don't want to engage sexually at all or who never experience it. So I'm really just showing my lens of things. But I think that we definitely just need more ace rep in romance as a whole because I think that I think it's really easy to feel isolated as an ace person in the community. So I would love to see more broader spectrum of that representation.
Wow. Excuse me. That's that is so cool. I think when it comes to like finding those like terms that kind of just like
Yeah.
click for you, I think it's so special to,
Hmm.
it gives you this extra of like, oh, I am not stuck in my own brain. I'm not in my own little box. Like there
Yeah.
are people who feel the same way as me. And I think within the romance space, like there is always so much room to grow past
Yeah.
the heteronormative male, female, we have
Hmm.
sex, we love each other,
Yeah.
whatever. And I'm the biggest Insta love girly. I love
Yeah.
it. My husband and I said I love you in a week and a half. Like I I
Yeah.
love it. I love an Insta love. But
Yeah.
like I love how different it can get and how
Mhm.
how wide that range can get. And
Yeah.
I love that you've like brought your own personal experiences into
Mhm.
this, and I would love to see so much more because I think there are so many people who are learning through books, like learning
Yeah.
about themselves, learning about what they like, what they don't like. I often talk about how like reading romance and reading about sex is truly like how I got comfortable talking about sex in my like
Yeah.
everyday life. And before I
Yeah.
wasn't, there was so much shame around it. There was so much like
Totally.
I'm not allowed to like the things that I like. And I
Yeah.
think through reading, I've just learned so much. I've learned how to talk about it.
Mhm.
And I can't imagine like how helpful that would be for somebody who was like, wait, there's a name for that? There's a
Yeah.
word for that?
Yeah. Yeah, and that's very much so how I feel too, as well as like with like mental illnesses and like,
Yes.
other neurodivergences where you're like, "Oh, that's why I feel the way that I feel." That's really helpful. And I think it also helps people to find resources and, ways of managing or understanding what's going on in their heads and in their bodies, and I think that that's really important. But I do know that there are some people who are like, I don't like labels. I don't really want to, put a name to this. This is just me. And that's cool too. Like, but, for some people who maybe do want a label or who do want to know how to tackle these things they're experiencing, I find that putting a name to things are really important. And so it is important for me to also like put a name in the book and say like this is what she is,
Yeah.
or this is how they identify, because you never know who's going to pick that up and experience something from it or realize something about themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. And even if you're not looking for a label, even if you don't want to say a certain label, it
Hmm.
still gives you an option of like, this is, if that's something that you
Yeah, this is
like but
what it
don't want the
might
label,
be.
this is
Yeah.
what it would look like. Yeah.
Yeah. Totally.
I wanted to ask, just as far as like a blanket statement, like inspiration for you, do you have any like fun ways that you find inspiration for your stories or just everyday life, even with your like video game writing?
Oh, I mean, it's so strange because I do really feel like a lot of my ideas are kind of like a little bit more like intrusive thoughts. Like they do just kind of come to me. And I don't necessarily know where or why, what brings them on, but I mean that can be really frustrating when you're like, I'm really trying to figure out like how to make this work and I just don't know. And my brain is like, we're not receiving new information right now. Um, it's not great in those cases. But I feel like the nice part about that is that you kind of don't know where that inspiration is going to come from. So it is important to try and do new things or, you know, fill the well and read books, watch TV, movies, because like I don't necessarily know where a solution is going to come from or what's going to, make something click together. But I find that like I'm a pretty concept forward for like person. I think that that's usually what comes first, where it's like, what if this? What if this person who did this met somebody who did this, or something silly like that? Or
Yeah.
like in the case of, Love and Other Conspiracies, it was like, during the pandemic, watching a lot of like Ghost Adventures and BuzzFeed Unsolved because it was just silly and fun. And I was like, oh man, I would just love like a romance book that was set in this kind of environment or on this type of show. And then, I mean, Love at First Sighting was literally just what if a girl who saw a UFO fell in love with her hot man in black? Like, and, I kind of let them cook from there and see where
Yeah.
it takes me. So, yeah, I think it can be anywhere. I'm pretty open to like receiving any sort of inspiration. And that's something I've been trying to like really follow, especially this year. Like after, a challenging year last year, I'm like, okay, where can I find the joy to create stuff? Where am I gonna, what's something that's gonna excite me and make me, get back to work and want to tell a story about this?
Yeah, I've been really big recently on the idea of like dopamine chasing.
Yeah.
Um because like I've been like on empty for probably like 4 months, just like
Right. Yeah.
pulling from zero.
Yeah.
And I like pretty recently I hit a wall and I just
Yeah.
was the most unproductive and bad that I've been in like forever.
I
And
feel that really hard. Yeah.
oh my God, it was so bad. And I was existing in this like superhuman state where I was like, yeah, I'll be up till 3 a.m. every night because I have like my regular developmental edits and then I'm developmental editing the anthologies. And so it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. I don't need
Yeah.
sleep. I'm cool. Like, and then I've been doing that for like 4.5 months. And
Yeah.
then this month happened and I was like, oh, I
Oh.
can't move. Oh,
Yeah.
oh, my body won't move. Like
Yeah.
I can't type. Like what?
Yeah, you're like, I just don't want to do anything. Yeah,
Zero.
I have a lot of periods like that as well. So I definitely get it.
Yeah. And I had to one day I had to be like, okay, we're just gonna like chase whatever thing is giving you dopamine like
Yeah.
right now. And
Yes.
so I ended up like rabbit hole spiraling about
Yeah.
this one specific thing, but it just like you kind of have to like let yourself do the unproductive thing
Yeah.
so that you can get back to being productive. Because
Yeah.
your brain's not going to listen to you if you're like, just do it, just do it, just do it. Like,
Yeah.
no, it won't work.
It's like a little treat in a way. And like
Yeah.
I find like 'cause I will tend to hyperfixate sometimes. Like I'll get really, really into something, and
Yeah.
that's like all I want to do. It's all I want to consume and talk about. And so, but I find that those are like I used to be like kind of embarrassed by those like
Mhm.
moments because I was like, you're just obsessed. Like this is weird, but it's like, you know what? It's making your brain happy. And so
Yeah.
sometimes like that's what you need. And I found that like for me it was a lot of fandom stuff like back in like college and whatnot. But it's like I was engaging with, I was reading, I was writing, I was, making friends, I was consuming content that made me really happy. And so I think there's merit to chasing those things and, getting, as long as you're not hurting anybody or yourself, like,
Yeah.
just have fun. Like, the world is kind of a hellscape right now. So,
Yes, it is. Yes, it
might
is.
as well.
Yeah. Find your joy where it is.
Yes.
Me and my friends have been big on like the heated rivalry train
Oh,
recently.
yeah. Yeah.
And we just like it's like we have this group chat where we'll just like send reels and it's like anytime
Yeah,
you need just like a quick hit, you just go and
exactly. You're like, oh, let me just go, like, enjoy this thing that is bringing me happiness. Like,
yeah.
you're microdosing joy.
Yeah.
Like, why not?
Microdosing joy.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay, so I saw on Threads one time you
Hmm.
were talking about a second chance figure skating
Oh
thing that
gosh,
you
yes.
wrote.
Yeah.
Are there any stories? And I know you said like that one's not gonna happen, but
Yeah.
are there any stories that you or like premises, your what ifs, like are there any stories that you have come up that are you're just very excited to get into?
Yeah, I mean so many like I so Love and Other Conspiracies was the 30th full book I wrote.
30th.
30th. Yes.
Oh my gosh.
How many of those were good? Maybe a handful. Um, but yeah, there's a lot of ideas and some stuff where I'm like, oh, I would like to pull from that in the
Yeah.
future. Or there was something and like I did pull stuff like from that figure skating book into a project I'm working on now. And really it was more like the dynamics and
Yeah.
like let's do this one more time. Like let one last job, which I
Yeah.
love that trope in Second Chance. I love Second Chance as a whole, actually. But there, I have this one like it kind of started as like an urban fantasy back like when I was in high school, and then it sort of morphed into romantasy before romantasy really blew up, but now romantasy's a thing. So I'm trying to find a way to make that happen. And I had a little brain
Fun.
blast over the weekend, so maybe it's something I work on in the future. But these are characters that have been with me since I was a teenager, so I would absolutely
Wow.
love to see something happen with them one day. So fingers crossed that I can find its like final form, like its final
Yeah.
Pokemon evolution one
Yes.
day.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. I'm such a big Pokemon. Girl.
Yeah, I love Pokemon. Grew
I
up on
love,
it.
yeah.
Yep.
We have way too many cards. We have way too many. It's kind of a problem. Yeah, I love it. Do you have a favorite Pokemon?
I love Bulbasaur. Um,
Cute.
which is like I feel like a very basic answer, but
No.
I love Bulbasaur. Um, yeah, I'm gonna go with Bulbasaur. But I
Cute.
like a lot of Pokemon. Like I'm trying to think of like the ones that I'm like I like fighting with them and stuff. But like the concept of Pokemon is kind of horrifying when you think too much about it. But I'm like, but they're my
I don't,
friends. I
no,
know.
yeah. Don't
Yeah.
think about it. Yeah, you have to
I feel like
beat them up before they let you take them.
yeah. I really relate to like Psyduck and Snorlax though. Unfortunately.
I
Like
love
I'm
Psyduck.
confused. I injure myself in confusion. I go to sleep. Yeah. Yep. I was really into Pokemon Go when, Pokemon
Yes.
Go summer. I was all over it, all over
Yeah.
it.
Yeah, I was in it very heavy when it came out, and then
Yeah,
last year I was like heavily into it.
I'm gonna get back into it. Yeah.
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 I my life got too busy. I couldn't stare at my phone and be like,
Right?
where are you?
You're like, man, I was walking so much. I was
Yes.
exploring. It was great.
Hey, listen, hey, if it got me out of the house, honestly, I was like, I was
Exactly.
going on walks because they were like, okay, you
Yeah.
have to go around here and then you check this off. So,
Yeah, the hardest part was like because when that was happening, I was like working in New York, and so like that was good because you got all over you got to go all over. You had like
yeah.
birds in parks, you had water Pokemon by the by the shore. But then like you would like I would be at my house and like it would just be like Pidgeys because
Yeah.
like I'm in the woods and I'm like, oh, this sucks. Or like in certain parts of New York, it was just like rattatas, and I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
God, that's all there is. Okay.
I just had like in my home, it was just caterpies. And I was like,
Yes.
I can't do this. Like, I don't care. Like, I need something
Yes.
new.
I know. I remember like I walked all around like the Boston Common one day trying to get a Snorlax because I was like, I see it on the map. Where is it? Where is it?
Yes.
And I was like almost late to class because I was just trying to get the Snorlax.
And that's valid.
Yeah.
That's valid.
I'm sure my professors would have been like, that's totally cool. Just show up
Yeah.
when you need to. I get
Yeah.
it.
Absolutely. I have no idea what we were talking about before Pokemon.
We were talking about ideas that maybe could one day,
Oh, yeah.
come back. And then I brought up Pokemon and then we went on a tangent. It's fine.
It's fine. No
Yeah.
big deal.
Yeah.
Normally I'm like really good at like, okay, I remember. But
Yeah.
that time it was just like, nope, Pokemon is all that's it.
Big rabbit hole. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
My favorite Pokemon is Land Shaman. And
I'm not familiar with that one. Is it
I
like one of
know.
the newer ones?
I think so. I think it's
Okay.
a more newer one. It looks like a
Yeah.
hedgehog and it's
Oh,
white, but it has like pink and green flowers. And so it's like my whole brand and it's like my favorite.
that's so cute.
It's literally you need to look it up.
Yeah, I will right after this. I'm like,
It's the cutest Pokemon ever. I love it so much. There's a land and a sky version. The sky one kind
okay,
of looks like a dog, but like the land one is my
little
favorite.
hedgehog friend. Yeah,
Yes, of all time.
that's
So
really
cute.
cute.
I love it. Oh my gosh. Okay. I can't believe we've already been talking for like an
I
hour.
know.
Look at us go. Are you ready to do our Goblin's favorites?
Yes, definitely.
And now it's time for Goblin's favorites of the episode.
So my favorite, so I may be cheating here, but this is a book that is not out yet, but it will
Oh,
be
it's
out
okay. I do that all the
soon.
time. You're fine.
Yes. So I have two.
Yes.
And they are The Mashup by Laura Marie Myers, which comes out July 7th. And then Cut to the Ending by Maria Millage, which comes out this fall. We don't have a really announced date yet, but it will be
Yeah.
out. They are books by very dear friends of mine, but they are also fantastic romances. The Mashup is about a girl who gets trapped in one of her middle school MASH games, and has to like play out the game in order
No
to get
way.
back to real
That's
life.
so
Yes.
cool.
So like, she's got like a tie-dye Jeep and she's got a
Stop. That's
beanbag room. It's just really fun, really vibrant nostalgia. It's a delightful
oh
book.
my
I'm
gosh, I love that.
really excited for everybody to fall in love with that book. And then Cut to the Ending is about a really ambitious screenwriter who gets the chance to write the finale to like a major fantasy franchise that her boss created. And she needs to team up with a fellow Hollywood assistant who's a big nerd because she doesn't know anything about fantasy.
Yeah.
And so he's teaching her all of the ropes of this franchise and about how to write a fantasy finale. And it's just really, really sweet and funny and quirky. And I love, love, love the fandom element of that
Yeah.
book.
Oh, that's so cute. I love that. That MASH one sounds so cool.
Yeah, it's a really fun book.
Oh my gosh, the tie-dye Jeep is so funny to me.
Yeah. Because you're like, oh yeah, when I was 13, I did want that. Like I wanted like a pink Hummer when I was
Yeah.
12.
Oh my
Like
gosh, the pink Hummer.
and now I would not ever consider having that because like
No.
I have to I have to like pay for gas now, so I
Yeah.
would not consider that.
Oh my
That's
gosh.
not an
The
option.
amount how like elaborate the houses that I would pick
Yes.
were like, girl.
Yeah. You're like a
That's
mansion and it has like, a movie theater and a bowling
and the
alley.
water slide that
Yes.
spins.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure in the mashup she has like two water slides or
Oh
something.
yes.
Like it's just absurd. And I'm like, you know what? Bring back whimsy. I'm
You
into
bring back whimsy.
it.
Absolutely. Oh, that's so good. Okay. So my rec is so it's called Change the Plan by Allegra Hall.
Okay.
And it's like it's a novella and it's like full moon shenanigans.
Oh,
Yeah, it's a
very
lot of
fun.
fun. Yes. And so he I believe is like werewolf shifter vibes
Yeah.
and then he's also like alpha of the pack and then she's
Yeah.
like a fairy shifter vibes.
Oh,
It's very cute.
very fun.
But they're in that novella, they're married, they're mated, they're a couple,
Yeah.
and it's just like a fun little full moon time,
Th-
you know?
Yeah.
Um
It's like a one shot kind of like a one
yes,
shot in fan
yes.
fiction. Yep.
Yes,
Love
exactly.
those.
Yes. But what's really cool is that it can exist as a standalone because
Yeah.
that's completely how I read it. But there's other books if you want
Yeah.
like their whole
Their whole love
backstory.
story. Yep.
Yes. So the whole order is like a wolf in the garden, howl, a breath of fresh air, and then change the plan is the, I guess, fourth book, but it would be
Oh,
like
fun.
3.5.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I haven't read the first three. I just
You just read that one and it was good.
yeah, I'm a novella
Yeah.
girly.
Yeah.
I like I
Little
read
quick
for
bites. Yeah.
yes. I read for my job, and so I don't
Yeah.
always get to like read full-size books
Yeah. Yeah.
because I'm like I I just finished a like 500-page dev edit where it like trauma like complete
Yeah.
trauma the end of it I'm like yelling at her like why the fuck would you
Why
do
would
this
you
to
do
me?
that? Yeah.
You hate me.
Writers are cruel, man. They'll break your heart.
Yes, I'm like this is a personal attack and then of
Yes.
course it's like the first book and like a
And you're
series and
like,
I'm
oh,
like
good.
oh good
More
great
sadness. Yeah.
thanks and I have to wait great oh my gosh
Yeah,
thanks so
you're
much.
like, oh, it hurts so good.
Yes, yes. So when I am like often reading like for myself, I'll look for the novellas just because
Yeah.
time.
Yeah, it's like, a little bite, it counts towards your Goodreads goals.
Yeah.
And,
Yes, it
and a
does.
complete story that, you can
Yeah.
consume very fast. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Okay, so now I would love if you want to shout out anything specific that you want to work on or not what you want to, what you are working on and all that good stuff.
Yeah, so I'm obviously always writing. I can't talk about what I'm working on right now, but it is really fun and I'm hoping I get to announce it soon. But the next thing that everyone can read is Entities to Lovers, which comes out October 13th. I cannot wait. It is a great spooky season read. It takes place in Boston at Halloween. It is two rival ghost tour guides who get cursed and can't leave each other's sides until they learn to get along. So
I
it's
love.
a lot of haunted shenanigans. It's just a really fun, cozy time. So I'm very, very excited for everyone to read it. And I'm excited to just start celebrating spooky season in
Yes.
like April.
Yes. In
It's
February, we're like,
promotion. It's
how long?
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's honestly a good cheat code. If you
it
just have
is.
if you have a spooky book, then you get to be
Yes.
Halloween all year long.
Yes, and all my books have a little element of spooky. I think that they're
Yeah.
getting spookier as we go. Like I just am leaning even more and more in that direction. So I'm like, this is a great life hack. It's just write spooky books and you get to celebrate Halloween all year.
Honestly, that feels like the
The
perfect way
dream.
to yeah, perfect way to
Yeah.
end the episode. Write spooky books, then you can celebrate spooky season all
Yes.
year.
Yes. May that be the lesson we all take from this.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, it has been so much fun chatting with
Yes, it's been
you.
a blast. Thank you for
Yeah.
having me.
Oh my gosh, thank you for being on. Yeah, it's been the best.
Yeah.
All right, I'll see you guys later. Hope you guys have a great day.